The blanket coverage of the Queen's passing has led to complaints that other issues, like the cost of living crisis, have been ignored. But one columnist at the Times thinks there's no need to draw such a sharp distinction between tackling the cost of living and talking about our late monarch. Because as millions of Britons struggle to pay their energy bills, Alice Thompson has declared this: "The Queen's 1950s frugality is key to our future. As the cost of living crisis bites, we'll need to learn the satisfaction of thrift and recycling over endless consumer binges." The article reads, "The Royal Yacht Britannia could never be called a super yacht, with its formica surfaces, teas-made and narrow single beds covered with thin blankets for the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh. There were no gold taps or submarines, just wicker baskets for the corgis, but the Queen said it was the one place where she could truly relax. When the yacht was commissioned in the 1950s, Her Majesty turned down the initial design as too lavish. She wanted simplicity and would disembark for picnics with the Tupperware on remote beaches in the Western Isles." So a good cost of living tip there. In your yacht, do not install golden taps. Yachts are perfectly sailable without golden taps. Very important tip. Other examples of the Queen's frugality involve her driving a Land Rover instead of a Range Rover, another good money-saving tip, and renting out the cottages on one of her many estates via Airbnb. Thompson concludes, "In this age of Amazon Prime and Kim Kardashian-style super-rich spending, her frugality may seem quaint, but with the government ready to announce an emergency financial statement next week, it feels timely. As the cost of living crisis hits, everyone is looking for ways to cut back, taking a thermos of coffee to work, eating leftovers for lunch, and sewing on lost buttons." But it's not just on finances that we're being told to take inspiration from the Queen, who, thanks to her bloodline, was worth £370 million. According to this Mail Online feature, the Queen can also teach us how to save the environment. So they write, "Despite having access to private chefs, the Queen was known for keeping a simple diet consisting of local produce and meat with low food miles. She was also frugal, reusing wrapping paper, keeping furniture for decades, holidaying in Scotland, and re-wearing outfits." But the Queen's efforts go beyond wearing outfits more than once. According to the Mail, throughout her 70-year reign, the Queen regularly planted commemorative trees. This included a tree in Windsor Great Park in 1953 to commemorate her coronation, a tree in Christchurch during her Silver Jubilee tour on New Zealand in 1977, and an oak tree in Hatfield House during her Diamond Jubilee tour in 2012. So we can all take inspiration. We could be planting trees in London and in New Zealand. Sounds like a very efficient way to protect the climate. And it's not just her relation to trees, but also her relationship to animals, which should inspire us. So the Queen, the Mail Online write, had an affection for animals from a young age. She was an avid dog lover, regularly seen with her pack of corgis, as well as an accomplished horse rider. A range of exotic animals were also presented to the Queen over the years, ranging from an elephant to 2 giant tortoises. The Mail also celebrates King Charles for running a car on byproducts from wine and cheese. Owen, is this how we survive the cost of living crisis and save the planet in the process? 2 birds in one stone.
So bloody frugal, aren't they? They really did just skimp and save, didn't they? They might have been handed all this privilege, but they didn't rub it in our faces in any shape or form. Go to your local pound savers. Oh, there's that's Queen Liz over there. She's in the... She's buying. Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's just trolling on an epic scale. I mean, the monarchy, if you look at, because there's the argument they bring in tourism, they pay for themselves, which, as already covered, is a myth. Tourism attractions, royal tourism attractions, are very low down the list of reasons why people come to Britain. But the Irish presidency costs 1% of the monarchy. And, there's a very widely respected Irish president. It's very effective in terms of what it does. The monarchy is just bloody expensive. It's hugely expensive in terms of its upkeep. And, I just think, again, I think it does show as well the sorts of worlds that some of these columnists, I have to say, live in. If you look at the background of columnists and newspaper journalists in the national media, according to the government's own figures, or you look at the Sutton Trust, which looks at this, they're over half are privately educated, when only 7% go to private school in the country as a whole. So these are often people from very privileged backgrounds who are used to mixing with people from very privileged backgrounds, whose view of what is frugal is very skewed in a very unrealistic direction. This is class-based perspectives and loyalty which infect the British media, that people who are from very privileged backgrounds and mixed with other people from privileged backgrounds. I mean, I remember there's an anecdote about Tony Blair, and he one of his advisors, there's a discussion with one of his advisors, and he thought the median income in Britain was £80,000. It's about £25,000 now. This was many years ago when it was even lower. It just goes to show that people from very privileged backgrounds, they look at the monarchy, and clearly what most of us would look at, if we were being honest, is a very privileged institution dripping with huge amounts of unearned privilege. Whether or not people support the monarchy or not, it's just an objective fact. But if you're looking through a lens of someone from a very privileged background, you might come to a different conclusion.